Welcome to the deep dive, where we cut through the noise and get you the most important insights fast. Look, if you've been trying to keep up with AI lately, you know it feels like navigating a maze that keeps changing shape, right? One day there's a new model, the next some specialized tool. Sometimes you just feel like you need a manual for the manual.
Oh, absolutely. It's moving so fast, keeping track can feel like a full-time job itself. You're always wondering, which model for this task? How do I write the perfect prompt this time?
Exactly. And that's why today we're diving deep into something that seems, well, set to really simplify that maze, GPT-5. This isn't just, another small step up. OpenAI is positioning this as a really big shift, almost revolutionary, actually, for the whole AI landscape. Our mission today is to unpack how GPT-5 is trying to unify all these different capabilities, make workflows smoother, and really focus on usability for everyone.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how it's designed for simplification across the board.
Yeah.
From someone just playing around with it, the casual user,
Yeah.
all the way to professionals using it for really complex stuff. It's about putting that AI power right there, minus sort of the usual headache.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. The core idea, as OpenAI puts it, is kind of like one model to rule them all.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. Imagine not just asking an AI for, say, a story, but that same AI is also checking facts online, maybe drafting some code, planning a meeting, all without you needing to flick a switch or change modes. That's the promise, right? Less like a toolbox, more like, I don't know, an intelligent OS for your digital life.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. The big announcement is that GPT-5 is now the only model inside ChatGPT. It just replaces everything that came before. All those different versions, even those specialized ones users had to switch between, gone.
Hold on. So you're saying no more choosing GPT-4 or different modes,
Yeah.
or even worrying about free versus paid. In terms of the core model, it's just GPT-5 for everyone. How are they pulling that off without losing the power we got used to?
Precisely. It's one unified model, available to all users, free tier right up to premium, and the how is key. It bundles all the previous tools. Web browsing, code interpreter, Canvas, custom instructions, it's all integrated, automatic. Think of it like GPT-5 has this internal smart switchboard. Simple question, instant answer. But throw something complex at it. It automatically decides, okay, need more time, more power, activates this deeper processing, all seamless to the user. You just get the right output.
Okay, let's unpack that. Why is the shift so important? Because honestly, managing those models and prompts, that felt like half the work sometimes. This sounds like it could seriously cut down on that mental effort.
Oh, enormously. It simplifies AI use massively. You don't need those super long, highly engineered prompts anymore to get good results. GPT-5 works well even with short, simple instructions. That's a huge benefit for newcomers, definitely. It removes that complexity, that cognitive load you mentioned. That feeling of, ooh, which AI do I use? How do I freeze this just right?
Right. The idea of not needing like a PhD in prompt engineering just to ask a decent question almost sounds too good to be true. How much simpler are we talking? Can a total beginner really get powerful results now, first try?
Yeah, I think so. The system adapts dynamically. Ask a basic fact, boom, instant answer. But then follow up with, say, a complex analysis problem. It recognizes that shift. It allocates more resources, more time automatically. You don't touch a thing.
That adaptability, yeah, that sounds like a productivity game changer. But how does it stack up performance-wise? We hear a lot about competitors, Anthropic's Opus, Google's Gemini DeepThink. Is there a trade-off for this unified approach?
That's a fair question. In general performance, especially coding, GPT-5 tends to win on most benchmarks. But, and this is important, it's not dominant everywhere. There are trade-offs. Gemini, for example, seems slightly better in certain math tests. Other competitors might edge it out in, say, multilingual Q&A or Anthropic in some very niche tool use cases. So OpenAI is aiming for breadth and usability, but there's still space for those highly specialized AIs.
Got it. So not universally the best at everything, but strong for everyday practical stuff. And the sources mention OpenAI focusing on real-world practicality. What does that tell us about their strategy?
It means they're optimizing for what actually makes AI useful day to day, not just chasing abstract benchmark scores that, frankly, might not mean much to the average user. This focus on practical value over just theoretical power feels like a significant strategic decision. It signals a certain maturity, maybe, in the AI field.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially as AI gets more mainstream. Okay, beyond unification, what other big new capabilities should we be excited about?
Well, there are a few key things. First, significantly fewer hallucinations. They're really pushing this as a major step for factual reliability, which is, critical for building trust, especially after earlier models sometimes confidently made things up.
Oh, that's huge for trust. Confidence without accuracy has been a massive hurdle, hasn't it? Almost a barrier for some people. Okay, fewer hallucinations. What else?
Second, what they're calling higher emotional resonance. GPT-5 seems better at picking up on your mood, your tone, and responding appropriately. It can even suggest taking a break in long conversations, which is pretty interesting. It builds on that more human-like, concise style we started seeing in GPT 4.5. Makes it quite useful for coaching, brainstorming, maybe even sensitive discussions.
Wait, so it's not just understanding the words, but the feeling behind them. That's almost uncannily human. I've definitely had AI chats where I felt like I needed a... How would that actually work? Could it literally say, you seem stressed, pause?
Something like that, yeah. It might notice cues in your writing. Maybe your replies get shorter, the language gets a bit sharp, and it might genuinely suggest, this seems like a tough point, want to take a short break, or maybe try a different approach.
Hmm.
It's moving past just doing tasks to a more adaptive interaction.
Wow. Okay. And then the third point is the unified experience we already talked about.
Exactly. That seamless combination of browsing, writing, coding, planning, all in one flow.
Yeah.
No more switching modes manually. It just feels fluid, like having one really smart assistant for all your digital stuff.
Okay, so let's pull this together. What does all this actually mean for us, the users?
Yeah.
Different kinds of users.
For the general user, it just makes AI easier to pick up and more trustworthy for everyday things, writing an email, planning a trip, whatever. For professionals, the idea is higher productivity, less friction choosing tools, plus more accurate and emotionally intelligent interactions. It feels less like using a tool, maybe more like collaborating.
And for the AI enthusiasts, people listening now who've kind of watched these models grow up.
Well, it raises the bar on real-world usability while still being very competitive on performance benchmarks. I think ultimately, this release really underlines OpenAI's push towards that one-model philosophy, prioritizing access, trust, and emotional intelligence just as much as pure computational muscle. It's about making AI genuinely useful and intuitive every day.
Right. It really feels like a major pivot point. We're shifting from an AI world where you almost need to be an expert just to use the tools effectively
Yeah.
to one where the tools are actively trying to, well, meet you halfway. We've covered the unified tools, the easier access, lowering that barrier, the huge steps on reliability, fewer hallucinations, thankfully, and even that surprising emotional resonance. It all seems aimed at smoothing out the AI experience, whoever you are.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, it really does show OpenAI's strategic shift, doesn't it? Moving away maybe from just raw benchmark chasing towards AI that's practical, trustworthy, really user-focused, making these powerful tools feel natural and genuinely helpful in our lives.
Which leads us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. With AI becoming more unified and, as we discussed, more emotionally aware, how might this change our daily interactions? Not just with the tech itself, but maybe even with each other as these smarter systems weave deeper into our lives. What new ethical questions pop up when AI can guess your mood or suggest you take a break from a conversation? Definitely something to think about as AI continues its own deep dive right into our world.